Hello, fellow participants of Ceres Digital. I'm sorry we're not all together as we hope to be given the extenuating circumstances this year. However, I still remember how overcome with emotion I was when I got the letter from Ceres and Trillium to say that I was this year's winner of the Joan Bavaria Award. It's an incredible honour to follow in the footsteps of all the other people who have won that award, many of whom I've had the great privilege of collaborating with over the years. I just wanted to, in particular, mention Tessa Tennant. Tessa, of course, died fairly recently, but I'm really aware from the briefing from the Ceres team that Joan took Tessa under her wing, and later Tessa took me under her wing 20 years ago. And much of the collaboration with Tessa, including gatherings at Glen House in Scotland and later Findhorn in Scotland, run through the projects that I'm just about to talk about. So aiming for A is the main reason for me having the privilege of accepting this award today. I originally thought of the idea in 2011, and at that point, I could not have imagined that it would have been one of many projects, including the Ceres Carbon Asset Risk Programme, that have led to Climate Action 100+. In my launch article in 2012, I actually asked people to get in touch if they wanted to replicate the project in other countries. And it seems unimaginable from that vantage point to think that we're now at 400 investors with 40 trillion. I'd like to, in particular, thank the Local Authority Pension Fund Forum. When I wrote my thank you article for Responsible Investor, when the Institutional Investors Group on Climate Change and Aiming for A won their inaugural award together, just as we were merging Aiming for A into IIGCC. Within that article, I thanked the first follower. You can't build a coalition without that critical first follower. So many of the impulses behind Aiming for A are still incredibly important today. We wanted to amplify the voice of the long-term investor in terms of the risks associated with climate change and walk with the companies as we all go through the systemic change. Some of the relationships that we built in terms of Aiming for A and bringing people together as we ran up to the Paris Agreement and beyond, then went on to form the investor agenda. In fact, we wrote the protocol, the first run through the investor agenda in Scotland the summer before it was launched at the last Ceres Investor Summit in 2018. One of the things we were really puzzling through in that project was how to think about the ultimate phase out of fossil fuels, with, of course, thermal coal needing to be one of the fossil fuels that's phased out first. And I think it was that thinking that led us in late 2018 to realise that we needed to allocate more time to the UK and Canadian government's Powering Past Coal Alliance and help with the writing of the finance principles, which were launched at London Climate Action Week last year. We've since then allocated more time to build on that so that the multi-sector grouping behind the Powering Past Coal Alliance, the governments, the cities, the subnationals, the electrical utilities, the banks, the insurers, the asset owners, the asset managers, can help with the really critical task of phasing out thermal coal as quickly as we can globally, and certainly by 2030 within the OECD. So as we record today in London in mid-March, it's unclear the next time we will all see each other in person. We're all gradually getting used to recording acceptance speeches by video, using teleconference to communicate with each other, and building a new set of collaborations and coalitions to help see us through this incredibly difficult period. And I look forward to seeing all of you again in person. And thank you very much, Ceres, for battling through and moving the conference online. And I wish you well for that whole process. Thank you again to the Ceres and Trillium teams for the great honour of being this year's recipient of the Joan Bavaria Award.